2023 is on its way, and I have this sneaking suspicion that 2023 is definitely going to be a much improved year than before. As I referenced in the newsletter, 2022 proved to be an interesting year just for the fact that it's clear that there are two different languages that are spoken within a lot of organizations. One is the language of leadership, and the other is, I would say, the language of everybody else. And the reality is that this particular divergence in language and understanding prioritization, how equity is being approached, is going to be a key driver for what 2023 looks like. Because for us personally, me as Leanne, but also as as part of and being the CEO of Benefactum Consulting, one of the things we've been very focused on is having these conversations to close that chasm. Because the reality is, until we do that, we're not going to change anything. Because the reality still is that there is a small group of power holders within most organizations. And it's how can we start to deleverage organizations in terms of key person risk, aka creating corporate dictatorships, where those in power don't necessarily see the need to make change. And this is going to be one of the biggest pushes, I think, for 2023. It's not so much around, we've seen accountability or trying to hold leaders accountable only goes so far, because once the scandal has died down, it's business as usual. And this is what's contributed to the previous frustrations, is that after any sort of, I'm going to say, tragedy, scandal, anything that brings heightened awareness, what happens thereafter? Silence, tumbleweed. And I think that's going to be another part, which is what happens after we've said something? What happens after we've committed to committed to making change? Because 2023 is also going to be what I'm going to say is a year of results. It will be 3 years since George Floyd's murder. So it's going to be time for measurement. And what's that going to look like? That's a really important part, because that measurement right there is going to be indicative of what has happened. There's going to be no more places to hide. And it's not to say it's going to be, a game over situation for organizations who have done little, but it's going to be a big problem for organizations who have done nothing. So that's what I see for next year. Bringing together of this, difference in prioritization and understanding that the need for change is there, because the reality is it's not. The need and understanding why it is so important hasn't really been brought to its full culmination, just for the fact that we're still focusing on marketing campaigns and celebrations. I also see a huge restructuring of employee resource groups, how they're used, what they represent. From my perspective, I believe in the 3 pillars of every successful ERG is celebration, complaint, and alignment to business strategy. And that will definitely be part of what we will be talking about as an organization with our clients, because it's something very, very important. And how do you also reward the people who put their times into these ERGs? And how do you make sure that they aren't overloaded or burdened? Because the reality is, employee resource groups or business resource groups are still very much needed. The question is, are they being utilized to their full potential? And are the people who are driving these efforts being supported in a meaningful way? But I did promise you an announcement. So in the last 30 seconds of this video, the big announcement is, and once again, thank you for all, for following me and subscribing to the newsletter. And please feel free to kind of provide feedback and insights. It's always welcome. So my big news is, my big dream. I always said that if I was going to write a book, I would like it to be with Bloomsbury Publishing. And that's exactly what I've done. I am now a signed author. I have a book deal with Bloomsbury Publishing, which will be coming out next autumn, which is all about what organizations can do to support Black women. And when I say to support them, this isn't a fix the women book. It's what are the blind spots that organizations have thus far missed, that are traditional methods for success that don't always work in the case of Black women, and how can any organization achieve this through a gender equity lens. So you'll hear more about my book coming up in 2023, but I look forward to your reviews, and I will be sharing more. So wishing everybody a wonderful festive season, a time of relaxation, a time of rest, celebration, fun, and for it to be whatever you need it to be. So happy holidays. Bye bye.